$84 million for Larry Johnson, $80 million for Chris Webber, $65 million for Anthony Hardaway. What do you make of those prices?
Well, I think those guys, as you said, have gotten some lucrative contracts, and I think it's due to their leverage. Basketball is still the game, and you should love the game for the game and not really worry about the financial part of it. It's going to take care of itself. So hopefully the big contracts don't take away for the love of the game and the way the fans perceive it.
All right, man. This was Michael Jordan in 1994, while temporarily retired, talking about some of the massive contracts players were getting around that time. With the help of Michael Jordan, the brand was rapidly growing, and the players, they were reaping the massive benefits from it. Now, even when I look at the contracts back then and what was actually considered to be large at that time, it's actually insane to view 30 years later. Brian Gumbel said $84 million for Larry Johnson, which was the biggest contract signed at that time, and $80 million for Chris Webber and $65 for Penny Hardaway. But all of those contracts, they all were a decade plus long. So annually, they weren't even touching 8 figures back then. At the time of that specific interview, these were the largest annual salaries at that time. It seems like back then, contracts were way longer and players harped way more on long-term stability. Currently, these are the highest paid salaries 30 years later. And what Mike said about contracts and how they may possibly affect the game ultimately turned out to be 100% true.
Well, Coach was in here saying he wants to get you more on the point and get you more activated. So is that something that you're amenable to? And is that something that might be necessary to get you back closer to the top of your game and your form?
That ain't gonna fix it.
What will fix it? What do you want to see happen to fix it?
What do I want to see happen? I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball.
Things didn't work out. I wanted to get paid. They weren't talking. So, you know, it is what it is. Now you move on.
Now, someone can easily say, well, Michael Jordan wouldn't understand because he was spoiled financially being the best player in the world. And, well, they would be right. Mike's sidekick Scottie Pippen, he basically had a contract standoff throughout the 90s after the salary cap grew, players less accomplished than him got bigger contracts, and he was still locked into a long-term deal he signed that happened to age terribly.
I had a big falling out with Jerry, I think, this summer for the final time. And I just know right now that, you know, my mindset of putting back on a Chicago Bulls uniform is not going to happen.
In 1997, Michael Jordan was making more than double of what anybody else in the entire NBA was making. It's still insane to me. Do you know exactly where Scottie Pippen ranked at that time? He was 128th and 6th on his own team. Once that money hit, it affected the players because anyone in any industry, they want to be compensated well. I don't care how much they love what they do. 3 decades later, even after players have already been compensated well, and now they're well into their 30s where new contracts typically age terribly, they still have the exact same mentality as they did in the mid-90s where this kinda all started. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. It's January, which means all of our favorite sports, they're in full effect. And if you want to see one of your favorite athletes at a discounted price, SeatGeek has you covered. Everyone can use my code Swishout10 and get 10% off of any tickets, whether you're new or not. The NFL playoffs, they're finally here. The NBA is in mid-season form. Maybe one of your favorite artists, they're on tour. You really name it. SeatGeek literally does all the hard work for you, rating their own tickets on a scale from 1 to 10. The greener the dots are, that means you're getting a great deal for your buck, and they'll let you know that. The yellow to orange red ones, well, not so much. Also, all of their tickets are backed up by their buyer's guarantee, so you can feel pretty secure getting your spot. Head over to the SeatGeek app right now, use my promo code Swishout10 and get 10% off of any tickets, whether you're new or not. Don't wait, the NFL playoffs, they're here, and this is for a limited time only.
It is about whether or not you're a box office. You are must see. And there is nobody in this league, maybe outside of LeBron James, that is more must see than Kobe Bryant.
Reportedly over the summer, Jimmy Butler wanted a 2-year contract extension, and this seems to be where the issue lies between he and Pat Riley. Now, Jimmy is definitely an older player, and he also hasn't even been the healthiest player, and he always seems to coast through the regular season. But in the playoffs, where it matters most, that's where Jimmy Butler really has his leverage. Nobody has really been more reliable or more of a playoff riser in that span since Jimmy Butler put on that jersey 5 years ago. Again, that's really where Jimmy has his leverage. I make your team dangerous when it counts. In fact, since Jimmy Butler joined the Miami Heat 5 years ago, these are the stars with the most playoff wins in that span. Jimmy Butler is top 5 on that list, and he's the only one without a championship. Yes, he misses playoff games, but when he plays, his team for the most part wins, even when they're not the most talented. These are the NBA stars with the highest win percentage in that span. And yes, again, Jimmy's in that top 5, and he's the only one without a championship. To me, that speaks more about what's been around Jimmy Butler, and to me, that highlights his greatness. His teams always seem to be an overachieving team with a great coach, one special player around that time, and a massive talent disadvantage. That goes on Pat Riley. Pat Riley hasn't really been able to develop that roster well enough to actually give Jimmy Butler a chance to win a championship, and he should be held accountable for that. 3 conference finals appearances, 2 NBA finals, 1 #1 seed, and his best running mate has been streaky Bam and Tyler Hero? And the best pickup has been Kyle Lowry and Terry Rozier? That's insane. Even with that being the case, Pat Riley not wanting to give Jimmy Butler any more max dollars than he has to, it does make perfect sense, and this year proves it. I played you a video of Vintage First Take talking about Kobe Bryant and how at the tail end of his career, he was beginning to get that narrative of being overpaid. Some people thought Kobe always taking the max and as much money as he possibly could was actually sabotaging that team. And ironically enough, his situation contractually as he got older was very similar to Jimmy Butler now. In 2010, right before he won his final NBA championship, Kobe signed a 3-year extension, making him the highest paid player in the league in that span. In 2021, 1 year after Jimmy Butler dragged Miami to the NBA Finals, surprisingly, he signed a 4-year contract extension, the deal he's currently on. In 2013, after Kobe's contract was up, the Lakers gave him 1 more 2-year max deal, making him the highest paid player in that span again. Kobe Bryant at that time was 35 years old. Jimmy Butler over the summer wanted another 2-year contract extension, and right now, he's 35 years old.
You were very touched by the Lakers contract that they offered you. And there's people out there, it's been a mixed reaction. You know, there's people who've thought that you deserve every dollar you got, you earned it, and you mean so much to the Lakers franchise, to the league in general. There's people who said that this might put the Lakers in a tough position to be able to field a contender. What do you say to the doubters?
We sat down and discussed this. I mean, this is something that was important to me, is being able to find the balance of something that's fair from a business perspective, as well as winning.
Now, First Take was having that topic in the first place because the Lakers repeatedly made Kobe the highest paid player, yet their team was steadily declining. In fact, if you look at the Lakers' seasons by year with Kobe on those 2 massive contracts, their winning percentile went down every single year. After he signed that last contract at 35, he immediately tore his Achilles, and his career from there was basically a celebratory thing. But Stephen A. in that clip I played you, he said something to me that really stood out. He emphasized how important it is to be box office when getting these max deals. And he said Kobe's the most box office player in the league outside of
maybe outside of LeBron James.
At that very time Stephen A. said that, Pat Riley had that very same guy on his team winning championships. And Pat Riley could care less. He's going to operate his system however he wants, and he really doesn't care how box office you are. He was strict with Shaq directly after they won a championship, and he's one of the most box office players ever. He didn't really care about LeBron's mystique, and he never really bowed down to him at all. He let his homegrown homer, Dwayne Wade, walk. Pat Riley's most definitely not the Bus family, and for better or worse, he's very militant in his approach. With this Jimmy Butler situation and possibly paying him top dollars, even though he's not currently top dollar material, you could say Pat Riley is right, and he's being proven right this year. These are some of the oldest players in the league, earning some of the most money this year, and this is exactly where their team stands. Nobody's even a top 3 seed. The errors have clearly flipped, and respectfully, that does hurt Jimmy Butler's case. Now we're in this weird PR battle with two basketball figures who both have janky track records to some extent. It seems like Jimmy Butler has been a little problematic wherever he's been, and Pat Riley clearly rubs all of his stars the wrong way at some point. But to me, you can tie all of this back to what Michael Jordan said in 1994.
I think you have to be very careful that the jealousies doesn't lead to bad exposure of basketball. Basketball is still the game, and you should love the game for the game and not really worry about the financial part of it. It's going to take care of itself. So hopefully the big contracts don't take away for the love of the game and the way the fans perceive it.
If you guys like this video, I'm just ready for this Jimmy Butler saga to be over. Tell me in the comment section exactly what you feel about the situation. Miami Heat fans, I'm sorry. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.